Hi guys, welcome again to the Gay and Brown in the 21st Century podcast. And we're on camera now. Stop. So today today I want to speak about my happiness. I'm gonna talk about God today and like my happiness and just like I feel like some of the things that I've been talking about, like I think they all revolve around happiness, but that's just something that like I have been like thinking about recently, and yeah, so I think I like that's been a big thing for me, and something that like I feel like in your early adulthood, like everyone is kind of like trying to figure that out, and it's like the first time you kind of have like more autonomy in your life, and like you're able to like that is something that you're able to kind of figure out. And so like I think that like that's obviously been like a project of mine that like as I've been healing, as I've been like, getting older, like, and because I had a rocky childhood and like being gay and like trauma and all these things, like trying to figure out like, okay, like clearly like something didn't work in that, and like how, like what can I do to like fix that, or like what are there things in my life that I do need to like figure out in order to like help that. So when I came to grad school, like one of the things that I kind of like was thinking about, like reflecting on this, was like when I came to grad school, like especially the first year, I didn't visit home a lot, and I kind of just like sequestered myself. I was just isolated like here in my room, just like doing homework, just trying to like figure out life, and just like I don't know. I was just like kind of doing my homework and just to myself. And at around that time too, I like fell out with like my best friend since middle school. I feel like I initiated it too, because I think something had happened, and I just, after we had like a really tense conversation, I just didn't reach back out to him. And then I feel like it was about a year that we weren't talking. But so like I fell out with my best friend, and then just even being here, like being in this religious environment, it's been very toxic, because like I said, like like I've been saying, like there's so many things going on in this atmosphere, like there's just, or not atmosphere, but this environment, like there's just the homophobia and the racism and whatever. So just even being here, like there was just a lot of ways that like I just also felt ostracized from like the community, and I like didn't really have community here. And even now, like I struggle with like the other gay men here are not like they don't even have your back. And I think it's a thing of like, I've been reflecting on like why that is, but I think it's a thing of like uh I guess because like people, because this environment perpetuates these beliefs towards us that are like hateful and antagonistic. Like I think there's a sort of self-hatred that like we have, and so like we kind of project that to each other, because we're like, obviously we're like mirror images of each other. Like you see someone similar to you, and so yeah, I think that's like my theory for it. But yeah, I think like there's like so much, like I think as um like one of the things that I've always like thought about too is like I feel like I've always kind of thought about like moving away and just distance, and creating distance and giving myself kind of like the space to like live my life and just like figure things out. And I just feel like environments kind of can define you in a way. And I just felt like I know my potential, and I know that like I don't believe that my potential is limited. And so I feel like sometimes like what you really need is like to get out of an environment, and so, or like to be somewhere else where like you're not inhibited in the same way. um but yeah, so like on this kind of thread, like I was kind of thinking, when like I feel like God was kind of telling me these things, and it was like it wasn't like all in like one, like I didn't just get, it was kind of like a download, and it was kind of like progressive, because I was like asking myself these questions, like, but like why would God tell me this? And so like the context for this was that like I have been like just very, very unhappy, very like in a just like unique, sensitive spot, just like being in grad school and being in seminary. And um yeah, like I don't know, I just feel like I've been a very like dangerous or like dire, like I don't even know how to say it, sensitive, very sensitive, like, narrow place, like field of like where I've been at, and like my mental, and like just struggling. And like it's not the ideal place, it's not a good place, it's not, like it's just been in a place that I could survive and I could get through. And it's maladaptive, but like I just feel like that's like okay. And it's okay for the given the circumstances, but I know that it's not okay, and I feel like God knew that it wasn't like okay. And um I've just been very much like, as I close out this degree, like just asking myself like, how am I going to get through this? And like that's been a recurring thing. Like I started going to the gym since the beginning of the semester. Like that's, when you're really going through it, when like you start to just create your own interventions and like do things in crisis, like you just start to like, I need to do something, because I was telling my sister like I need an outlet. And like I just, yeah, I feel like I need an outlet. And so I started going to the gym, and I have been going to the gym since like, I think like the end of January, so like a little bit, like a month. But even that, like it's hard sometimes, because I think like it is a big public space, and given some of the things that I've been through, like there's a lot of public perception in like a big space like that. But yeah, I started going to the gym, but just still like very up and down. Like my mental has just been like through the mud, like just everywhere, like just all over. And so like asking those questions, like I feel like I started seeing a lot of things started happening to me, where like I was on the bus, and like had just got on the bus, and like right next to me this lady starts like yelling and being like, God cured, like not cures, it was something like God deals with all anxiety, God can take on like all anxiety from you, like God can do it for you. Like she was just saying stuff, and then somebody like walked by her and was like, a random man, he was like, God is good, God is good. Like it was, I don't know, it just felt very like one of those like matrix things. Like it was just like I was just in another zone. Like I had just left the gym, and I was just like in my own world. And like they kind of like shocked me back to like it brought me to reality. Like it made me, it caught my attention, and that felt very like intentional. I feel like God speaks that way sometimes, because it feels like the matrix. Like it feels like things are slowed down, and like something just happens. Like it's just, I don't know, but like a lot of things that are happening, where I just started feeling like I also went to like get a gelato place with my sister, and like I was there alone before she got there. And this man was just like, he looked kind of like homeless. Like I don't want to be mean, but he looked like, like from his clothes and stuff. And like he was just like humming to himself, or like talking to himself, and he was saying like repeating a phrase over and over. And then he just looked at me, he started saying it, and he was like, happiness is not about life conditions, it's a state of mind. And he just kept saying it, and was just minding his business, very much just like inconspicuously, just like cleaning the window. And that just felt like, I don't know, like when so many things just happen like that, and they're just like random, and like when you're not expecting it, like it feels like synchronicity. And it feels like that's a message. That's like God, that I think that's how God does stuff. Like he'll, in all these different ways, like he'll just put it in your face over and over again. And so like I just felt like God was giving me that message, like you need to be happy. Like, but I was like, in my head I was like, but like why would God be telling me to be happy? Like I don't, it just didn't make sense. As I'm also like, okay, but like God knows like my life, he knows like, the reasons, he knows why I'm where I'm at, and like why I haven't been happy. And it's like the trauma, and it's the growing up, gay, and all the things that I dealt with. And so in my mind I was kind of having this dialogue, and then I started feeling like he was saying like, like it's not to be happy without conditions, it's not without conditions. And he was like telling me like, like you incorporate, like to use the boundaries that I've learned through like this. I created a condition of pain for myself, through isolating myself like that first year, and through like, falling out with friendships. Like that's like my, one of like the most important relationships in my life. I'm not, I don't have a million friends, and like that was such a very close friend, who I did feel like got me in a lot of ways. We helped each other cope through like so much in high school with like our families and being gay. And he was like, if anybody got me, I felt like it was him. And like it was complicated. Our friendship was like, there was levels to it, because like as we became friends so young, we became friends in like 6th or 7th grade. But he was a friend that like I needed a friend. I needed, especially being in this environment. But so yeah, like I feel like he was saying like, you've learned those boundaries, and like the fact that like isolating myself, it was painful. Like it was painful to isolate myself during that time. But I did it out of love for myself, and out of feeling like I deserved better, because being at home and like dealing with the things that I dealt with, like I just sometimes felt like I wasn't prioritized, and like how I felt, and the fact that I went to college for 4 years, and like just the way that I was living, and like what stuff that like way people were treating me and my family, like I just felt very upset about it. And I just like I felt like like me taking my space was in a way like it was like showing myself that like I didn't deserve that, and like like my presence isn't a commodity, and it's not a given. It's not like it's I choose to be in spaces that like suit me, because there was also just so much that I went through, like living at home. And I took like a gap year between when I graduated undergrad and then when I started this program. And so like there was just a lot of things that happened, a lot of things with family, and just because I was living at home, like with extended family too, like I just felt like there were a lot of things that were said, and people felt very inclined and very emboldened to speak on like me, and like where I was at that point. And I just felt like it wasn't like their place. And like so I feel like in so many ways, like just being to myself in the first year, like I didn't go to family things. I was like just very much in my room doing homework and just watching shows, and like just doing, I don't even know if I was watching shows, I don't know if I had my TV at that point, but like I was just in my room just like to myself, like I don't know, on TikTok, like doing homework, like just I don't know. It was hard. It was definitely hard. There was times that it was like very trying, because like everything that I was going through here, and like plus like just not having a support system, not having being like relying on them as a support system. But like I already did in my childhood, I felt like I didn't feel connected to them as much, and I didn't have the relationships with my extended family, like who we see as one family because that's how we are, like my aunts and uncles and cousins and whatever. But like I didn't have, the relationships weren't as good, or like weren't the best, because of like things that I went through. And I don't know, but like yeah, I still like my mom. I was like very close to my mom and my siblings or whatever, but I didn't go to like my house. I was just in my dorm because, like I said, um but yeah, it was a very hard, like it was very hard. But I feel like doing that, like putting myself through that, and like initiating that process, it was very needed. And I feel like I was teaching, like I said, like I was teaching myself something. And yeah, like I feel like God was saying like, you put yourself through that process, like, and what I feel like I learned from that, really, like with my best friend and with my family and everything. Like I just kind of like I sat with myself, and I was okay. Like it was hard, it was really hard to just be so to myself. Like I didn't have people in the school, I didn't have people in my family, so like who did I have, but I feel like I did grow through that hard process. Like I did, it taught me to be okay with myself and to be with myself. And so like now that I'm talking to my close friend again, like I'm in it, like sometimes there's silence when we hang out, or like I'm okay with myself. Like I feel like before, especially because I had like an undergrad, like I went to Catholic school, and I had like a trauma that was traumatic for me for like a semester. And after that, I felt like when I came back, I felt like I had to perform, and I had to like play this role of like who I was before for my friend and for like just people in life. And so like I was always talking, and I was always making jokes, and I was just always trying to overcompensate. And I did feel out of myself when I was doing that. But like I just like that, I felt like I had to be that person, because I didn't know how people were going to react to like me changing. So I think the space and the sitting with myself, it gave me that, where like now I can do that. And now I can even know like, okay, like I love hanging out with my friend, and sometimes there is a temptation to want to hang out with my friend a lot, but like also like sometimes I need to pull back, and I need to like just be by myself, have a moment to like just watch TV, just like be by myself, just like feel what I feel, think what I think, like just be by myself with my thoughts. And so yeah, like I think that was super important. But just in terms of everything, like I think yeah, like I just, everything like with the being happy, like I think it really required me to like be honest about like what had happened like in my life prior to like me coming to school, and like prior to my adulthood, and like just that I was very dissatisfied. I was very unhappy. I was very like I navigated a lot of darkness that like people around me didn't understand and they judged me for, and like as a kid. And